What's going on, guys? This is Burrs. I got a cleaning video here today. This is the AR-15. I'm going to show you how to clean it. First, let's get our tools right. You need a cleaning rod. You need a patch runner. I use the slotted type. I like cotton cleaning patches. You can use synthetic as well. A bore brush. I like to use Q-tips. Alcohol if you need to use it for some of the parts there. Lots of towels. Usually use the blue ones, but that's what I got available today. A cleaning brush, a oil, which I prefer the M Pro 7 Gun Oil LPX, although I'm switching to Froglube. So this is just for demonstration purposes, and some sort of cleaner. I like to use Ballistol. Yet again, though, I am moving to Froglube, which I have a bunch of these tryout versions, these little trials. So to get started, let's go ahead and clear the weapon. And go ahead and hit the magazine 60 on this side. Go ahead and rack the slide. Safe direction. Weapon is clear. Alright, now that we're safe, let's go ahead and disassemble the weapon. First part you want to disassemble is this button right here. Push that in and pull it out the other side right here. You just want to grab it, kind of pull it out. That'll happen. And the second part is right here. I'll push this part in and pull it out the other side. You go ahead and take both parts down like such. For the buffer spring, I'm going to take a part here and push down on this little front part. And this does have some tension. What you want to do for the bolt is you want to grab the charging handle like you would normally, pull it back a little bit, grab a hold of the bolt carrier, take it out, pull down and out of the charging handle, and now let's move on to the smaller parts. Alright, so here is the bolt carrier with all the internal workings. Let's talk about them. This is the gas key. You want to make sure that that is tight. There's two screws right here. If it is not tight, you want to tighten it. That will cause a failure. Now, take this apart. What you want to do is take this little cotter pin right here. And I'll take like a little Allen wrench to get it started. You want to pull it out. Then what you want to do, get your finger in there and pull out the firing pin. You want to bump the camera because that's how a professional does it. And at that point, you want to take this little cam pin right here, move it vertical, and then pull it out straight up. Then you can take the bolt out. Once the bolt is out, there is another pin in here, right here, and what you want to do there is just push it and lose it. This little tiny pin right here. This is like a just a little tiny pin that's a retaining pin for the extractor spring and such right there. So at that point you have all of your parts off the gun that you want to clean. So there's a visual look at the 7 parts you should have. You should have your firing pin, your cotter pin, your extractor and spring, another retaining pin. This is your cam pin, bolt carrier. What I like to do at this point, since I'm using Froglube, I go ahead, take it out here, and I'm just going to rub this all over everything and let it sit and let it work. So what that's going to do is break down all the carbon that's in there. And you can take something like a Ballistol and spray everything down, or Hoppies, or whatever you use. You can take that and spray it down as well. So you have to take I take Q-tips to get in all the tight areas, like inside the bolt here. Alright, so now we have all those taken care of. Take a charging handle, put a little bit on it, and rub that on there and let that sit as well. So that's the stuff you're going to want to let sit. Move that off to the side. Now let's talk about the barrel. You're going to want to go down through your barrel like such. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush here, put it on the end of my barrel rod, and I'm going to take some Froglube and stick it on there. I've turned into someone who doesn't like to clean all the copper and such out of the barrel. I like to keep my barrel seasoned, and that's one of the great things. That's one of the great things about the Froglube. So I'll go ahead, put some Froglube on here, and I will go ahead and go down the weapon. Like such. Alright, and I will let that sit after one more putting of the Froglube on here and running it through. Alright, and again we will let that sit. At this point what I'll do is I'll go ahead, take a paper towel, and I'll just rub down the spring here. This is the buffer spring. I'll clean it off to the best of the ability. I really don't lube this at all. There's really no need to lube a spring. Now what I do is I'll come back to all my little parts here, and I will run over them with a brush. And after I run over them with the brush, I'll go ahead and just wipe them off with a paper towel. You want to make sure not to get any lube on the face here where the firing pin will emerge. It's another no-no. If you do, just dry it off really good. Use some alcohol, which I always do before I throw it back in. You see these little holes here. You want to make sure that they're spaced apart. That's where the gas will be relieved in the firearm. Alright, so now that we're done cleaning this, I'll go ahead and take some alcohol and I'll clean the face of the bolt. That way we don't have any oil residue on the face. And if you're using Q-tips, make sure you don't leave any residual. And we'll just wipe it down, and then we'll take some Q-tips into the tighter areas. Set that off to the side. Go ahead and just wipe off this cotter pin. And this is why I recommend the blue towels. These regular old towels just really don't do the job. Wipe off your other retaining pin here. And then your extractor and spring. I'll take the cleaning rod now, some patches, and I'll throw on the end patch runner, a little slotted one here. Take 2 of these, which are cloth, stick them in there. And we'll go ahead and run that down through. As you can see, it's pretty dirty. I made these custom patches because I have too big of a rod. Another place where you want to clean is on the inside here. See, there's tons of buildup in there. Let's take some cleaner in there. Definitely want to get where the slide rides on these rails right here, because the smoother that can be, better your gun is going to operate. And we can begin to lubricate this AR-15. Now, the lubrication points are pretty few and far between. The first point you want to lubricate is one here, one here, one here where there's a groove, and right here. Just take a little bit of lube on each. It's a little too much, but the outside of the bolt. Don't get it on the face. Now this cam pin, put some on there. Put some, just a tiny amount, on the charging handle. Just the outside part here. Alright, so let's put the bolt carrier back together. First, what we're going to do is we're going to take the bolt and the extractor spring. Stick the extractor spring back in there and keep tension on this, and take your little tiny retaining pin and put it back in that hole. Make sure it's flush, like such. What you want to do, take your bolt, you want to have in like such. This only goes in one way. You want to line up that hole right there. You want to stick in your cam pin like such, and you want to rotate it a little bit, And then what you want to do, before I put this firing pin back in, what I'll do is I'll dry it off one more time. Now I'll go ahead and put it back in right here. Then what you want to do is take your cotter pin, put it back in the bigger hole on this side of the bolt. It only goes one way. Now what we're going to do, take the upper, we're going to take the charging handle, and you have to put it in a little bit and then come back on it. Just put it in a little bit and you'll see it come up. So you can't put it in like such, you gotta go in and then up. And once it is in, make sure that you have the bolt to the rear. Put your bolt in that slot there, and you're ready to rock and roll. Now you want to take your buffer spring here, put it down the buffer tube, and when you do that, you want to push it in past that little retainer, and you want to mount the upper and the lower back together. Make sure that that bolt's all the way in. Slip that one back in, put this down, slip that back in. Go ahead and back your slide, and your AR-15 is now back together. Now at this point, what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of this Froglube on the outside here, just to clean up the outside. Alright, so now that we got that done, your AR-15 should be operating rather smooth. This one is. So should yours. Now, like I said, there's a couple different ways you can lube this. On the range, there's two ways. There's two different points. For the internals, these two holes right here, you can go ahead and put a drop or two down through there. And for the under part, which is the bottom of the bolt carrier, you can go ahead and lube 2 drops down there, down the magazine well right there. Now get the bottom of your bolt carrier nice and ready to operate. Like to slide a couple times, safe direction, and we are ready to go out and have fun again. So if you have any questions on this, go ahead and let me know. If you have a different way of lubing yours, go ahead and leave it in the comments. And until next time, later.